I had a really big assignment that I had to work on, and it was unlike any assignment that I've ever done. And when I opened that assignment, I realized that there was a lot of work that I had to do for it, and I ended up feeling overwhelmed. So, as a way to cope with this overwhelm, I ended up procrastinating and I spent the whole week cleaning instead. A day before I had to give my assignment, I realized that I didn't work on any of it, and I ended up becoming both overwhelmed with my emotions but too paralyzed to do anything. This situation I'm describing is an example of emotional dysregulation, and having dysregulated emotions can have lifelong consequences. According to prevalence and correlates of stress, anxiety, and depression in patients with chronic diseases, a cross-sectional study published on August 16, 2023, it is estimated that those who have mental health issues are 68.7% likely to have dysregulated emotions. Our mental health is correlated with our emotions, and if they're not treated properly, then it can lead to manifestations within our physical health. Today, I will be talking about suppressed emotions. I will be discussing what it is, its effects, and treatment options. First, let's look at what suppressed emotions are. Claudia Alstig, who is a medical specialist in psychiatry and psychotherapy, in the article The Dangers of Suppressed Emotions, published on January 24th, 2022, states that suppressed emotions are emotions that we find uncomfortable and we don't allow ourselves to feel. So this can mean that anytime you experience an emotion that's perceived negatively, like sadness or anger, you suppress it instead of allowing yourself to feel it. The same article goes on to describe how suppressed emotions can be impacted by trauma from childhood. One example of this can be of a traumatic event a child has gone through and they haven't been given the space to feel the emotions that the event has caused them. Another example can be of a child who has been shamed from experiencing certain emotions. And as a result, once they become an adult, they have a hard time dealing with certain emotions. Now that we know what suppressed emotions are, let's look at the effects. There are two effects for when it comes to emotional suppression. One example is emotional numbness, and the other is chronic diseases. In the Blue Cross Blue Shield, in the article Emotional Numbness and How to Recognize and Treat It, published on February 17, 2022, it states that those who experience emotional numbness are more likely to have mental health issues such as anxiety, depression, and PTSD. So those who were not able to experience their emotions as a child may end up having mental illnesses as they grow up, and as a result, they might become emotionally numb, and that can lead to further suppression of emotions. In the article, Suppressed Emotions Can Harm You. Here's What to Do Instead, by Catherine Cullen, who's a psychotherapist. She goes on to explain that when you have emotions that are suppressed, this can cause your stress levels to be higher. And as a result of these stress levels, this can cause problems such as hypertension and heart disease. Now that we know the effects of emotional suppression, let's look at some treatment options. While there isn't an exact treatment for suppressed emotions, there are two techniques that can help. One is nervous system regulation, and the other is somatic therapy. Jessica Beer, who has a PhD in developmental psychology, wrote in the article, "What is nervous system regulation? Why is it important?" on September 5th, 2023. She goes on to explain how our bodies um, regulate themselves through the automatic nervous system. And to that, there are two branches: the parasympathetic, which is responsible for how we stay relaxed, and then there is a sympathetic, which is basically our stress alert, or what we know as the fight or flight response. And there are many things that can be done to help promote a balance of both of these. The article goes on to explain that there are many things you can do for nervous system regulation, such as eating healthier, being mindful, breathing techniques, exercising, and getting enough sleep. In the article, Somatic Therapy Science 2025, Mind-Body Connection Explained, published on January 9th, 2025 by Shauna Levy, who has a master's in social work from the Metropolitan State University. She goes on to say how somatic therapy is a type of therapy which is more focused on how our mind handles stress, our emotions, and trauma. And it is more body based, and one technique that was described is body scanning, which is where you identify in your body where you might be experiencing stress or tension. And this is really effective when it comes to those who suppress their emotions and have a hard time with expressing them. And unlike CBT therapy, which is more focused on the mind, this type of therapy is more focused on the body and is helpful for those who suppress their emotions. Today I talked about suppressed emotions. I talked about what it is, its effects, and treatment. So remember, those who struggle with mental health issues are 68.7% more likely to have chronic diseases.